How many of you feel like you have to uphold a certain standard or public image? Or how many of you feel like that if you do not meet specific requirements or expectations, then you will either disappoint yourself or someone else? Mental health is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. Approximately 8 million deaths each year are associated with mental illness. Some may say, why don't you just go see a therapist? Or why don't you just get the drugs or medical help that you need? Unfortunately, the answer is not that simple. According to Mental Health America, Asian Americans are the least likely racial group in the United States to seek mental health services. In 2018, 60% of Asian Americans were less likely to receive mental health treatment. And in 2019, suicide was the leading cause of death for Asian American Pacific Islanders ages 15 to 24. By some estimates, Asian Americans are 3 times less likely to seek help than any other racial group in the United States. So why are these numbers for Asian Americans significantly lower? I'm going to be answering this question today by talking about the mono minority in our world and its effects on mental health. The mono minority stereotype refers to the perception that Asian Americans are highly successful, academically inclined, and free of any problems or mental health issues. While this stereotype may seem positive on the outside, it has many negative, significant consequences on the mental health for Asian Americans. Many internalize this pressure to uphold the mono minority, and therefore leads to masking or struggles. In many Asian cultures, seeking help or treatment for mental health is taboo, and there's this negative stigma behind it. As a result, it is often common for one to shun, deny, or neglect any symptoms due to upholding familiar traditional Asian values. Some of these values include pride, saving face or reputation, or not causing any trouble. Seeking help for mental health issues can be seen as an admission of personal or familial failure, which conflicts with the desire to maintain a positive public image. I personally like having social interaction with my peers because it is a great support system for me, and I feel like I can openly talk about my feelings with my friends. I saw just how important this social interaction was for your personal well-being during COVID, which forced us to stay in our homes, isolating us from this basic human connection. This pressure of having to be seen as perfect or having no problems on the outside is often exerted by older generations who preserve a quote-unquote traditional household with certain traditional cultural values. This often leads to many being less likely to seek mental health assistance or conversation among peers. Within my own family, I would not talk to my Asian grandparents about my worries or anxieties in the fear of being seen as crazy. Feeling inadequate to meeting the expectations of the mono minority can lead to internalizing this pressure and make it harder to be able to openly talk to others. The internalized isolation in thinking that you have to deal with your problems by yourself builds up in you and ultimately makes your condition worse. Differences in values between generations can create additional challenges in addressing mental health issues. Traditional beliefs and expectations from older generations may clash with the needs and experiences of younger AAPI individuals, making it harder to be able to openly discuss mental health concerns. So where in families does all of this come from? Is it born into us or is it taught to us? Well, one theory is from religious beliefs from the past that have been passed down many generations. This is called Confucianism, which by definition discourages open displays of emotion in order to maintain social harmony and a flawless family image, or to avoid exposure of personal weakness. This value is extremely important to many older generations in Asian American groups and has been taught to many generations that follow, and as a consequence, ingraining the standard and teaching throughout multiple generations. Due to the pressure to maintain a flawless family image, Asian Americans may feel compelled to hide their mental health struggles and difficulties and put on a facade of success and happiness instead. This masking of emotions and difficulties can lead to feelings of isolation, as individuals may feel as if they are the only ones experiencing such challenges. Not only are many mental illnesses made worse by lack of access to mental health care resources, but many are influenced by trying to uphold a certain standard or tradition that has been ingrained in you for so long. Right now, at this stage in my life, I am thinking about applying to college. Growing up throughout my high school years, I've been told by many about affirmative action and how race negatively affects Asian acceptances in college admissions. As an Asian American student, I have struggled to uphold this standard. I feel like I have to work harder than everyone else in order to be considered in admissions, and even that may not be enough. Because of these standards and expectations, it makes me anxious about my future. That even though I will push myself to achieve very high standards, I may still be ultimately rejected due to my race rather than my abilities. I cannot explain the immense amount of pressure this puts on not only me, but also other Asian American students who also feel they have to uphold this standard. There is an incredible pressure that I may ultimately fail and be disappointed in my college admissions journey. And that weight is even heavier in thinking about how that may also end up disappointing my family. These long-held traditions and expectations that have been placed on us by our families in the world that we feel the pressure to uphold can be suffocating. We are meant to feel empowered and to fully live life and shine without having the pressure to live up to these stereotypes of being seen as perfect. It is time to put an end to the model minority myth, which only reinforces these Asian cultural taboos against seeking mental health treatment. It is time to welcome a new acceptance of our imperfections and see our weaknesses as beautiful and humanizing. They say a pearl can only be formed in an oyster that has a wound. The more wounds an oyster has, the more beautiful pearls it creates. But a perfect oyster does not produce a beautiful, valuable pearl. Addressing the model minority stereotypes and its impact on mental health requires a multifaceted approach. It involves raising awareness about the diversity of experiences within the Asian American community, challenging stereotypes, promoting culturally sensitive mental health services, and fostering inclusive and supportive environments where individuals feel safe to seek help without fear of judgment or stigma. By promoting open conversations about mental health, providing resources tailored to the needs of AAPIs, and fostering acceptance of vulnerability, we can work towards breaking down barriers that prevent individuals from seeking the support they deserve. We go to the doctor to treat physical illnesses, but it is discouraged to seek such help when depression or anxiety is involved. Many students like Wang have even committed suicide due to the quote-unquote inability to safely access mental health resources without bringing shame to our family. I hope that we can treat each other with compassion and better understanding, and that each of us is encouraged to seek the help that we need. My hope is that as Asian Americans, we can celebrate our wounds and see what beautiful, valuable pearls they make. Thank you.